Merlin engines, hot off the printer. You know why they're so hot off the printer? It's because it's currently 107 degrees. It's been over 100 for a week. The 10-day forecast is for over 100 degrees every single day. So, me and the pig, yeah, we're out here in the shop working for you. Okay, we're going to talk about how to assemble one of these new Merlin kits. And so here we go. This is a 1/8 scale. This is now a Rolls-Royce Merlin. Not a Griffin, a Merlin. These exhausts are currently available from Rattlesnake RC. Speaking of detail, I don't know if you can see it. Where's the camera? Super nice. If I do say so myself, and I do. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to assemble this thing. It's kind of tall once it's all assembled. If you need to make them shorter, this is real easy to cut on a bandsaw, belt sander, whatever you want to do. You can make them shorter. You can cut it at an angle. I left a lot of material so that you could do that and make it fit your application. One of the things you're going to find, I see right now an example thereof. I could show you a better example even, but here and there I may leave a bit of material behind. When I'm printing, this prints, it's literally a nozzle that squirts out plastic, right? And it's got to squirt out plastic in all of the exact right spots. What it cannot do is squirt plastic out over air, right? Because what's the plastic going to do? It's just going to droop. So if there's a location on the part that will be over air and not over another part, like imagine just printing a wall straight up, that's easy. But if that wall takes a bend, now I'm printing in the air. I need to put something underneath there, so I design in what I'm going to call supports. Here is a leftover support I forgot to remove. That little arch there would be printing in air, so there's a support. You may find some of these that I miss and that I don't get removed. The supports pop off very easily. I mean, they can fight you a little bit in certain areas. There's as you can imagine, see these things here, those would print in the air. There's a lot of support material that goes here. You got to get a hold of it and kind of pull that a little bit to get it to pop out of there, but it'll pop out pretty easy. So you'll bump into that from time to time. I saw in the gas scale version here. Looks like I hadn't gone through this one yet and pulled all of the supports. I have a support here. See that? That's a support. Just about anywhere you can see a separate little piece of material, those are supports. This support runs all the way up just so that this little spot up here at the top will print nicely, because I am too frickin' picky for my own good. So if you have one of these, hopefully you're looking at it and you're enjoying the detail, and maybe you'll find a little bit of support here and there. Just remove it. You're good to go. Yeah, I'm printing them primarily in white. It's because certainly people have preferences of how they want things to look. You can paint it however you want. You can kind of use almost any old paint on it. You can spray paint it, you can brush paint it, whatever you want to do. What I like to do after I paint them, I go back with my, when I'm shooting my boat. Sorry, flies crawling on me. How can flies live in 107 degree weather? When I'm actually painting my boat, I'll take some of the clear and clear coat whatever part, be it one of my drivers or these you probably don't need to do because they look terrific as is. But it's nice, after you've finished painting the detail, manually painting if you want different colors for the valve covers and heads and block and all that, go back with some clear and shoot it. It just makes it look really brilliant. Okay, so we have lots of different parts here. We have here some water tubes. Went nuts and printed some below tubes, you'll see in just a minute. I think we'll go ahead and assemble this one. Intake manifolds, they look terrific. Hope the camera's picking this up. And then I have the valve covers attached to the heads. Why? Because the valve covers are kind of weird. On a Merlin, they're actually slightly curved. This might look like a straight line here, but there's actually a little bit of a curve to it. If I print the components separately, it takes support, because this piece being somewhat curved won't sit properly on the print bed, so it takes a bunch of support. Hard to make it print nice. I thought, what the heck? I just went back into Fusion and attached the valve cover already to the head, and you can see the weird angle. That's the way a Merlin is. So easy to paint, just like this. You can paint it before you assemble it, you can paint it after you assemble it, whatever you want to do. I don't care. cylinder liners. They're the same side to side. By that I mean right and left. First of all, let me give you the right and left of each cylinder liner set. And this will all make sense here in a minute when we go to assemble it. On this side, you'll see these little bosses all the way along here and two right here, okay? Other side, those don't exist, all right? So these things you want going to the outside of your engine, all right? So you would put this one on this, pardon me, this one on this way, not this way, okay? The extra bosses go to the outside. It'll make sense here in a minute. And so thusly, this one with the bosses will go on this away. All right, I'll show you how those line up in just a second too. I'm just kind of skimming over the basics right now on how this is going to go. Okay, so you're going to attach these first. This is what we're going to do. Nubbins to the outside. See the shape of this thing? You can see it here. You may or may not be able to see that. Pardon me, I'm going to try to itch underneath my nose while the sweat is running down my face. Underneath here you can see that exact same shape. It may not come out real clear in the video, real obvious when you hold it in your hand. So when you glue these on, and for that you're just going to use Starbond or whatever CA you prefer. I love this stuff. Starbond's medium thick. I'll put a link in the video. Okay, if you don't have this stuff, I'll put an Amazon link in there. Go click that. Get you some Starbond. Starbond also makes a Zap, which is really great, but I had some of this, the original Zap left over. Starbond would call it Accelerator. This is a brand name. So I'm just using up the rest of this, and as you can see, it's mine. So we'll use that. Let's get you ready to go. Probably set instantly in 107-degree weather. Okay, so we're going to put CA on here. We're going to line it up, and we're going to be really quick and ready on account of it being smoking hot out here. Okay, let's do it. You can get way more serious about it. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to do some real basic assembly. And in other words, I don't really care if I put glue everywhere, and it really won't matter for you either. I mean, once this thing is on there with a little bit of Starbond, it ain't never coming off. But I'm just doing it quickly like this because I'm wasting this kit so that I can show you how it goes together. I'll just hit a little bit of Zap, a couple spots. And that's all it's going to take. Okay? Isn't that beautiful? And now I just checked and I made sure I put the nubbins to the outside. Now's a good time to find out, because if you do it wrong, you're going to have to break it off of there. Okay, we're going to do this one. Double checking nubbins. Bingo. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Okay, so now let's put the cylinder heads on. The orientation for the cylinder heads does matter in every way. There's a right and a left, and there's a front and a rear, okay? The bulky part, let's just call it that, this part of each head goes away from, let's call this the bulky part of the block, okay? So they go on this way. However, it matters whether this one goes on which side, and here's how you're going to distinguish that. You will see, I think you'll see, here we go. See this little boss right here, little flange? This one's kind of square. There's one over here, you can kind of see it's kind of rectangular. These little buggers, this one, will go on here later. Kind of a little rectangular boss, kind of a square boss. And they'll be up like this. You'll see in a minute, it'll make sense. I'm just showing you the reasoning. But these go on towards the inside of the engine, because the intake manifold will mount underneath it. In other words, these bosses here, with this large portion of the cylinder head away from this, it'll go this way. If I put this one over here, those flanges are on the wrong side. Okay, so this one's going to go here. And this too is really easy to line up. It sits real square, and I don't want to say centered because it's not really in the middle, but it sits just really centered, square on the cylinder liners. Okay, and there's even some shape to it. You can see that you can line up the material there if you want. But, okay. I'm double checking. I'm looking at these two bosses where that coolant pipe's going to mount. I want them inboard towards the intake manifold, and I want this thing to sit on just so. Sorry, where were we? Had to stop there for a second. I got a guy digging up my septic out there right now. Why? Because we're putting in the Boat Shop 2.0. I'll show you more about that later. Yes, it finally got permitted. He walked in while I was gluing that on. Did I get it halfway square? I did, but not perfectly seated, but that's fine. Okay, let's put the other one on. I'll let that sink in for a second. They dug up our septic, and it's 107 degrees. Oh, gosh. They can charge me whatever they want. I do not care. Oh, man. Okay, here we go. Cylinder head number 2. Get her lined up and good. Set her down on there. It's got just enough wiggle to get it just right. Push. I think that's going to be done. It is done. There we go. Lovely. Okay, here we have a blower housing. What a monster, right? Sorry, Merlin engines are huge. This guy goes on here. Carburetor sits on here. This tube goes here. Intake goes under there. These pieces going, oh my gosh, let's put it together. These, you can see how it goes, plus there's little flanges here that will grip these flanges right here. Can you see that? Maybe, maybe not. A cool way to do this is to set it down on maybe some wax paper and then put it together, because then you'll get the height just right. Let's do that, shall we? I know, what a mess. Said everything's all jammed up in here on account of the Boat Shop 2.0. I'll show it to you. It's going to blow your mind how fast they put this thing together. Just a little piece, right? And we'll probably glue to it, but I don't care. It'll tear right off of there. I'm there. Should be all it takes. We are as one. You want to be super sure? Okay, drizzle some. Remember, we've already hit it with accelerator. We can be double sure if we want. Okay, not ever going anywhere. This is now all one happy assembly. Okay, a little bit tricky here. What we're going to do now is we're going to assemble this guy before we put it in place. This is the central tube. It'll land under here. It'll attach here. I left a flange on here. It's super hard to get these to print up nice. My idea and my hope was that this piece would fit inside of it and it would hold it. What I didn't do, okay, kind of does. Number of ways I could have dealt with this. I thought about not putting any flanges on here and saying just to attach it with a piece of shrink wrap, or just making each end flat and just butt it on there. I mean, if yours doesn't fit in there really nice or whatever, you can grind or file or cut or sand this flange off and just hook it up straight, or trim this down a little bit till it fits real nice, but not super necessary. I didn't go crazy on the appearance of this because it was going to be up underneath. You never see it, but it's there on the real engine, so why not? So we'll assemble this first. These guys here, these are your upper intakes. They are identical. Okay, doesn't matter which one you put where. Real obvious in their shape and configuration on how they go. So you're going to glue one on here, right? It's going to make this this look here, and then one on the other side. Let's just do it. That is way too much glue. So much so that it's bothering me. Oh, I'm working on these, by the way, louvers. Hope you like them. I don't. Not happy with the print quality on them yet. Something's kind of up with that printer I ran those on. Actually, I think it was just way too flippin' hot, and I was getting over extrusion like crazy because it's way too flippin' hot. Oh, I know what I was starting to say. These surfaces right now aren't necessarily perfectly flat. Because just, I mean, it's just the way stuff's going to print, right? It's super tricky to, this is obviously overkill here, but you'll get the idea. If you want to do this kind of number on them, you can make things just fit spectacularly, perfectamundo. But just for this tutorial, I'm not worrying about it. Tricky, I know, because it kind of wants to squirm around a little bit, and you're liable to glue your fingers on more than once or twice. That's a done deal. Now I'm not going to put zap on here because I just sprayed that, and that stuff will sit here as residue, and this will set super fast now, so I'm going to put it on this end. Should we sand this one here too? These come out just a little bit wonky. As you can imagine, it's super hard to print these because they take a lot of support, and there's a little bit extra material right there. Because this stuff is all up in the air when I'm printing it. It's quite an art form to figure out how to print things nicely. Oh, I know you can buy a lot of parts from those other guys. Take a look at the quality first. See how much I like this stuff? It kind of stands there. It's medium thick. It doesn't just immediately run away. That too is way more than I should use. It's going to be a little bit trickier now to see where it seats. I'll flip it over this way. I felt it take because it stopped squirming. Okay, there we go. There's our intake. What do you know? That's how that guy goes on. As you can imagine, it really just covers the intake ports. Why did I put intake ports in it? I don't know. But it sure looks cool. Okay, that's where that guy is going to go, right? You can kind of tell if you push it to the side, you can see where those flanges are. And boom. Now, of course, you've already painted all this up real nice and fancy, right? So we're just showing you the end result here. Of course, this kind of stuff you can actually, I didn't put zap on this, did I? No. Okay. You can actually set it in place, and then, I'm not going to keep going here, it doesn't matter, again, tutorial. And then just run some zap into the seam. You know what I mean? Because, again, this star bond is super killer stuff. It says right here in fine print, stronger than standard CA. Couldn't say it if it wasn't true, right? Ha. Tell that to the politicians. Oh, did I just say that out loud? I probably just got demonetized. Okay. Oops. Yeah, don't be a dope. And it's going to go in there and sit right on the right spot for you. If you got the cylinders and everything even somewhat close to assembled into the right spot. Permanent. Okay, now we're going to take a look here and see how we did on getting our positioning of this piece, which again is a little bit tricky. Now kind of doesn't want to go in there. That's okay. Let me just kind of hold it there. Lines up with the outlet here. Very good. We're going to call that good because it will be good. I'm going to shoot a fair bit of CA into here. Again, because I love this stuff so much, and it'll kind of stand there and not run out of that joint. Don't be running out of the joint. That's a permanent part. It's becoming a pretty darn good looking motor. Remember those tubes? Let's put those on. Now these matter. Again, kind of a laid down rectangle, kind of square, kind of a standing up rectangle. If you look here, you'll see it. This is a laid down rectangle where this one would go here, but I can't, right? Wrong way, wrong tube. So this tube. The laid down triangle lines up with the laid down triangle. She'll go like that. Now, some of the hydroplanes didn't run this exterior tube. I think they discovered they could run without it and it'd stay cool enough. But if yours has them, put these on. And you will be the coolest kid on the block. What you really should do is get your wife or your friend to hold it in place for you while you zap these, because this is really tricky. Again, in this heat, I almost think if I just kind of push on it, that it may stay. That one did. That one glued to my fingers. That's on. Oh, she's starting to look good. So now this one, if we did everything right, we've kind of got the laid down rectangle here, lines up with my laid down rectangle here. Let's go for it. Okay, so those are on. Now, here's where I got super carried away. These are a lower water tube. You can put these on, especially if you're running a boat where the motor sat kind of high and you want to see all the super cool detail. You can get the idea, okay? Little bosses here, they just line up with these bosses. They're just, kind of like, what am I going to say, steam ports. Not that you deliberately want steam in your water system, but air pockets will develop, and I think especially when you're talking aircraft and stuff here where they'll be constantly maneuvering, air pockets can really get caught everywhere. And so this allows water, or again air pockets, to travel and move throughout the coolant system. So I think that's what the original engineers were thinking when they added these externals on. It was probably, in the way engineering would go back in the day, even today, where things are constantly being updated, it was probably a realization of, oops, we have a problem if I have to invert the aircraft or something. So that's why you see these added on external devices. Okay, oh, she's looking good. Cool intake scoop. I might make these available separately. Do you need these? I know a lot of guys are looking for them. You can tell they're an M5 Performance intake scoop on YouTube. It says M5 inside. I guess it's on there. You can go, technically, I believe it's supposed to be mounted this way. If you actually looked at how one is really assembled, I don't know. Makes it feel big to me, but so be it. That's actually the correct way to do that. Okay, so you can do that on your own. You don't need to watch me glue that on, unless, do we want to see it complete? I sprayed it everywhere except in the seam, but it took. Your Merlin engine is ready to go. Is that a sweetheart or what? Almost feel like I could fire this thing up right now. Hope you enjoy your kit. Call me if you have, not call me. I ain't giving you my number, man. My phone would never stop ringing. Send me a message, shoot me a message on YouTube, find me on Facebook, M5 Performance Hydroplanes, and I'll talk you through it. We can build you a wicked cool looking Merlin engine. Oh, how are you going to get it? Go to allrc1.com. ALLRC1, the number 1.com. It's Rattlesnake RC. Link in the description below. Click the link. Hey, like and subscribe the video if you would. Tons of other cool videos on my channel. I think they're cool anyway. I might be the only guy that thinks so. But go check it out. All right? Happy building. Go build your race boat. Stop watching videos. Get back in the shop.